everybody. I welcome you to another riveting episode of Global Women Achievers Festival 2021. Today, I have with me someone who has stood her ground and carved a niche in what has always been known as a man's profession. I welcome with great gusto and excitement Miss Alpana Verma, founder and partner, VNS Advertising. We welcome you, ma'am.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
So, ma'am, tell us, we've always, had this notion that advertising is a very high pressure job, and it is. And it's something that takes all your drain on time, energy, resources, everything. So, how have you managed to have such a long lasting and glorious career in this field?
Oh, thank you. You're very kind. It is high pressure. It definitely is high pressure, and timelines, I think, are the most difficult part to manage when it comes to advertising agencies. Most of the large agencies always work extra hours, and you always know when you're going to office. You never know when you're coming back. In the initial years, we used to actually keep our toothbrushes in our bag because you didn't know if you're coming back at all or not. And there have been days like this. So yeah, that's the way the industry works.
So, besides being an advertising maestro, you're also a wife, a mother.
Yes.
So, how have you been able to balance all of that?
Yeah, balancing that has been basically what my journey's been all about. I started off in advertising again. Straight out of college, I started working. For the next 10 years, I was just working across large agencies, and it was all really nice, and we were making a career, and it was really nice getting all the experience that I could. And by this time, then the marriage and the child happened. Okay, this is when actually the life-work balance needs to start coming into play. This is where a lot of other things come into play, which you've not really thought of. So yeah, it does put a lot of pressure on women for sure. It does put a lot of pressure. Not to say, I'm not speaking from a very feminist point of view or something, but that's the way the society is. That's the way the world is. There are those things that I'm supposed to do for my family and for my child, and only I can do them. What a mother can do for the child is something that only the mother can do, no matter how much of help I get from anywhere. There's something which is called upbringing, which the parents give.
Absolutely.
I cannot expect other people to give.
Absolutely. So then, what was your way out? What did you come up with?
Okay, so by the time my child was like 5-6 years, 5 years old. Till then I kept going with advertising. I managed my systems and I put systems in place for the baby to be, and where I could work. My husband also has been in advertising. He's an advertising person. So 2 advertising lives and 1 child was a very tough one to crack. So we would forever, one person would forever be leaving the work and coming back to pick up the child from the creche, because the creche would only take the child for up to a time.
A certain amount of time, absolutely.
And we had to be back. So, each one of us, on a daily basis, there was that call that would happen at 5 o'clock. Can you go or do I have to go? And then, we would start juggling and, managing things in office and trying to leave work and run. It was really, really high pressure. So at that point, that is the time when you then start wondering, whether it's worth it. What do you want to do? Should you have left the work when the baby was born, as most people do, or should you just have, or is there a better system that you can put in place? There are lots of questions, and you're forever questioning, you're forever trying to figure out. The bigger question is, what are the options? What can I do if I do leave this job because I think this office is like this? The point is, all offices are like that. No matter where you go, sooner or later it is going to come to that same thing again and again. So at that point is where the turning point for me came, and I decided to set up my own office at that point. So I left the job, and that is when I turned an entrepreneur, and that is when I start my own agency. Again, no expectations. Just started the agency because again, my point was, why do we have to choose? Why does it have to be a choice between the career and the family or the child, right? Why can't I have
that question is always there before every woman. What do I choose? Because we're always it's hammered into our head. You can either have this or that. Nobody has ever told us from the beginning that, you can have it all.
Have it all. So if the world was not willing to give it to me, I was willing to try to at least try to make it up for myself, because why should I have to decide? I'm a person who's educated, I'm a person who's talented, I have all the experience, the expertise in my field, right? Why should I sit at home just because I have a child? It's not right. For my mental peace, stability, I need to do what I'm good at. I need to do things that give me happiness. At the same time, of course, the child is equally important. Okay, so there's no compromise there. Both. But my point is, why not try to do both altogether?
Absolutely. And there's always so much judging around. People expect you to do a certain thing because you're the mother. They expect you to leave your work. They expect you to make amends. They expect you to come home early because it's your child. And mothers are expected to make most sacrifices. So yes, it's the unsaid norm in the society, isn't it?
No, and in office you're expected to do because you're a certain position.
Absolutely.
Why did you get the job if you can't do it? So it's there. The point is, expectations, you can never meet everybody's expectations. The thing is to figure out which ones are the more important things for you. What is it that you want to do in your life? And what is important to you? And then make space for that. All right, what the world says does is going to keep happening. You can never control that.
But so what happened when you started your own venture? How different was it? Because you'd come from a background where you were juggling with office and with childcare and everything. So what did you do?
Okay, so here at this point, we thought of starting this office. I have another friend of mine who was on the other side of the spectrum. She had the baby and she had left her work because obviously with advertising life, you cannot. Okay, and by this time, again, the child was 5 years old and she was pulling her hair out because that's it, that's as much of homekeeping that you can keep after all, your life.
Your education and your work and your exposure,
You know what you're capable of, and sitting at home just washing and cleaning is not what you want to do. And yeah, playing with the child and giving that, but that's only that much. Okay, so here both of us, I mean, it was really nice. It was kind of a pair made in heaven. She was a copy person by profession. I'm a design person by profession. So both of us together could make a creative team. We partnered together, and so she's the other partner in BNS Advertising. And we came together and started this agency. Now, when we started the agency, honestly, we had no expectations. Both of us came from the creative backgrounds. We did not come from business backgrounds. We didn't know how to, go out and seek business and, how to make it big and how to make projections. All that.
All guns blazing on marketing and pitch yourself and, try and get...
Nothing. We knew nothing. Throughout our experience in advertising, we just been in the creative department. We didn't even know how to raise estimates, But again, it's a learning, right? So we didn't know how. We had friends we could ask. So we kind of put our systems together and we started working. And we just thought we'll do some amount of work. Okay, some amount of work to keep ourselves going while we can also do the other most important part of our life, which is taking care of the children. And but as luck would have it, and as it went, we started landing brands. I'm not even saying businesses or projects which are small clients. We started landing brands. People started coming to us. Why it worked with us for them was the fact that we were a creative team which was experienced on a larger scale. So we were not a small shop. I mean, we were technically a small shop, but we were not really a small shop.
Not in terms of experience and knowledge.
Experience, knowledge, expertise, I mean, we had enough to give, right? So our work ethics and everything was from those large agencies that we came from. It just so happened that we were sitting in a small shop and doing our work. And so the kind of quality they got, the kind of turnaround times they got, and then we kept it very clear. We're not going to have marketing people because that's it. We'll talk to the client, we'll understand what they want, and we'll give them what they want. And when you're talking to the client straight, the reverting time came down substantially because we understood what they wanted, right? So there was no miscommunication in the middle. There were no these things
lost in translation,
nothing translation happening. Yeah. So that way it worked out very well for the clients. They knew who they were talking to. They knew who was going to work. So that trust establishment with every client happened really, really well, and that happened really fast. And one satisfying client gave us many, many more, and we really didn't have to go out. People just gave us references, and we kept getting businesses which were brands. which were brands coming to us from larger agencies, which is something we had never even thought of. We had to grapple and soon kind of put a team together because it just grew fast.
Weren't expecting this kind of response.
No, we weren't. I mean, we honestly were thinking we'll start a small shop, we'll do some freelance kind of work and, make some money on the side and have an easy.
You always hope for the business to work, but when that does, you're not really prepared for that.
But then you got to put it together. So it's learning as you go, and we continue doing that.
So did you ever see that people were apprehensive about coming to a company which was run by two women, rather two mothers who were also taking care of the baby on the side and doing their thing?
When you meet them, you don't tell them we are mothers and we are running this agency. You just go as professionals. They think you're advertising people. We also went with all the swag that we had. But for most of our clients, they didn't know that we were the small shop which was working there, and which was practically working out of home. I mean, initially, and then as soon as we had to start putting the team together. Then we had to get people. We had to get a place, and then everything had to fall in place. Now, get a place means now what happens to the kids? So then we found a place where we could have another room for the children. So we found a place with a separate room for the kids because the kids would come back from school, okay? And we knew they were going to come back from school. Again, where do they go? So they would come to office after school. So the bus routes were also planned to the office.
So they've grown up basically, practically in your office.
The kids have grown up in the office. They had their own space. Which actually worked out well for the kids also, because I have a single child, okay, and my partner had two. Two also, the second one happened later, okay, but so now what happened was these kids got company. So it's not as if they were bored, they were growing up together. So they got another environment where they practically got siblings, if you look at it,
absolutely.
They grew up together. So for them it was a good environment. We were around, we knew what they're eating. We knew, I mean, when they were small, we also had beds there that they could take naps on. When they grew up, of course, the beds went off and the study tables came in because they had to do their homeworks. But that's it. It was organized, It was
sounds so divine. As a working mother, this is one thing you always have to grapple with. बच्चे को कहाँ छोड़ूं? अब क्लास का टाइम है, अब ये है, the kid
किसके पास छोड़ के जाऊं?
अब बीमार है, अब बुखार है, अब क्या करें, कौन देखे? You're always haunted by these questions. You could leave work, but those questions never leave your mind. You're always at the back of your mind thinking. So
it always happens. You never know when you're going to get that call from school that says, not feeling well. Why don't you come and pick up? And then what do you do?
What do you do?
So here we had a system that was kind of put in place with the kids first, and of course the rest of the office around them. And the kids also practically grew up in office. The elder ones were slightly 5-6, so they were shy and they would stay away. The younger one was 3 months when he started coming to office, if I may say so. He was practically born in office. So he would crawl. When he started crawling, he would stop crawling in office. So everybody in the office, all the staff knew that, chair move karne ke pehle dekh lo, the baby is not there.
That's the last thing you expect. What about when clients walked in or there was a meeting?
Usually clients don't really come to agencies as often, So for a very long time, we were also safe. It was only after 2-3 years that some of our biggest client asked, so what happens to your children, when you're there? So that's when they got, after 2-3 years, so we kind of managed well, I guess. The kids were told every time the phone rings, you guys have to stop shouting, because no matter how much of a room you give them, they will still be piling onto you. They want to sit on your table, they want to write on your diary, I think that's the way the kids are, right?
Tell me about it. I have locked my son in the room before taking this interview. I know exactly what you're talking about.
We will always do that. So they were told, every time the phone rings, you guys will keep quiet, not talk. So now they know they don't have to talk. So if you're talking on the phone, they'll tug on your clothes. Or they'll poke you because they can't talk, but they'll have to do something, right? But it's been fun. I can't tell you what good fun it has been.
It sounds fun. I'm sure it must have had its moments, exasperating moments. But
we did have. We did have.
So, and you today, there are even today, we don't see, this is not the norm. You don't find offices which have these facilities for children. 1 or 2 maybe, it's picking up. But we're talking about 15 years ago, like having an in-house play area kind of a thing for the children. And I'm sure, as your team expanded, this must have become a favorite place for, women wanting to come back after a sabbatical.
Oh, right. Also because initially we had experimented with this. We knew how the kids are going to be taken care of. We knew, what systems to put for them, and all those things were in place. So then if mothers wanted to come, honestly, on a more serious note, all of this is fine, but on a more serious note, today corporates are waking up to this. Globally, the world is saying, why is this glass ceiling and why are there no women on the top? Let us recruit women back. And this whole comeback from sabbatical is a very big thing globally. And companies are actually taking initiatives and hiring people and taking out special positions for these people to ease them in. For these women, they give them start with half-time, half-day kind of jobs and then gradually go into it, and to make it easy for them. 15 years back, there was nothing like this. 15 years back, startups was not a name. This whole startup phenomenon also
15 years ago, two mothers running an advertising agency was not even a thing.
So there was nothing like this. Nowadays, all larger corporates are mandated to have a creche, or at least, kind of sublet to a creche or provide space to a creche, even if somebody else is running it, but you have to have it. So larger corporates are doing it now. At that point, nobody was doing it. Even today, if you look at it, in spite of all of these efforts being put in place, there are millions of ladies who are leaving the workforce every year. Okay, specific data, you can just look it up online. There are millions of people who are leaving the workforce. Why? This is a talented workforce. These people are experienced. These people are far more committed. Okay, and diligent people. Why are they leaving and going? Why can't the companies retain them? It's not right. It's not right. Forget the whole woman angle and everything, but it's not right. It's these are capable workers. They should be there working. And of course, that wasn't there. So then there comes VNS. So after that, then we did get people. So we hired people who wanted to. We had again all kinds of staff. We had men working also. It wasn't just a women-only agency. We did have men working. But we did have women working also, and there again, so when they came in, they were skeptical. They didn't really know how it's going to work, whether it will work at all or not. Our children are our children, so they're
and their families, I'm sure. Nobody thinks you're taking a child to work.
So a lot of girls could not work because the family said, "Who's going to keep your child? I'm not keeping your child. Okay, so you can't go back to work. Figure out something for your child." And so when this girl went back and said, "Okay, fine, I'm going to take my child to office," they said, "Are you going to torture your child? How can you do that?" Because obviously this is a concept that nobody understands, and this concept does not happen.
Back in the day also. Back in the day, I'm sure it wasn't even heard of.
Yeah, it wasn't heard of at all. So, but that happened. So initially, again, the daddy was very reluctant sending the child to office and would insist that the child be taken home and fed at home and this thing. But gradually the child said, "No, but I want to be there." Because the child gets company here, the child gets to play here, the child gets a more positive environment. She's learning.
And he gets to see his or her mother around, and the mother gets to see the child around.
So the kind of input. It's also a younger input, no? Versus grandparents keeping the child. It's a very different kind of a input for the child. This is more active. There are other kids. The kids who are doing stuff. So she gets to learn from the older kids who are doing stuff. So it's enriching even for the child. So the kids loved it too. They wanted to be here. So
and so much more relieving for the mother, who always had her half her mind at home, thinking what's the child up to.
One thing is thinking what the child is up to. Then every 5:30, then the phone calls happening, "When are you coming? Have you left or not? Your child is not happy." Things like that. And then having to hear that I am the one, you want to work, but I have to keep your child. Even that's not a nice thing to hear. So here was a solution that kind of took care of all the problems. So it was very nice. It worked with all kinds. It really worked out very well for us. Women, we had this girl who was not even married when she joined us. Then she got married, and then she had a child, and she continued working. And the child also started coming to office, which is okay.
That's so amazing. You have all these people come, and then they are moving on to the next level, and the families are growing along with their work. I think that truly is empowerment in its truest sense. It's such a privilege to speak to you, ma'am, because you thought of something years ahead that must have been a transformation back in the day, something that was unheard of. So I think that's really truly ahead of its time.
if I may say so, honestly, we do not think of it. We just started doing what was convenient to us. We just started doing something the way we would have wanted it to be, right? And it just so happened. It's only when we look back now do we see that success the way it was. All right. We didn't start off thinking that we are going to be this women empowerment agency or anything. We didn't start. It was just business, and business was business. Okay, so you had to work. You would need to work late if you needed to work late. Whatever. We just took advertising as it was and managed it the way we wanted to. Okay, and just because we wanted to go back home on time because our kids would be piling on to us, we did the work faster, and everybody knew that sham ko ghar jana, and everybody gets used to it. Nobody wants to be working till 10:30, 11 every night. If you have the option of leaving office by 6, why wouldn't you do that?
Absolutely.
So everybody kind of got into that same pace. We would go to office, we would work cut because we knew we wanted to go away in the evening, and everybody got used to that mode. So our entire office worked at that same pace. Our turnaround time was phenomenal, and the clients loved it because this is not something that they'd seen. And this is this is because we wanted to go also. But again, also if you stick to your deadlines, if you give them the work they want, there's that trust that sets in, and they don't have to worry about whether the work is going to come or not. But after a point when they see it coming, okay, there's again that dependability which they know. So they wouldn't bother us. No ad agency can actually say, for me, in the last 15 years, I can count the number of weekends I've worked. Because, if you plan it well, you don't have to do it. I can count the number of days that we've had to work late. There are days. Not to say that there aren't days. There are times of pressure. There are times of releases when there's so many artworks that need to go. So all that happens. But it can be planned and it can be taken care of. But those are counted number of days. No ad agency can say this. We've all taken our vacations in the year. 2 vacations at least. Okay, so my point is, if you plan, and the lack of planning actually in larger agencies is because somebody else is setting your targets, or somebody else is setting your plan. You cannot plan it as per yourself. Here we were sitting and doing it ourselves. So we've been able to put together a system where there's space for everything, basically.
And necessity truly is the mother of invention, and that's what you came with.
And that's what it gave us. But the point is, if we can do it, why can't the larger agencies do it? Why can't the larger offices do it? Everybody can. It's just a point of setting that intent in that case. It's just that intention that has to come in.
What message would you like to give to all the women, mothers especially, who are sitting and waiting for their time to come and hearing the clock tick and want our time to go back to work, as well as the larger organizations, MNCs, who can have this facility if they're more sensitive to the entire issue? What would you like to say, ma'am?
See, for the women, the first thing I would want to say is don't think of it as making a choice. Okay, there is always an option. It's not about choosing between the options. You can choose what you want to do, you can decide what you want to do, and you can always make your own path. You just have to go out and do it. Think of what is important to you, go out and do it. For the larger corporates, I think I don't have to say anything. 2020 has taught us enough, okay? Everybody now has seen how work can actually happen. Now, this has been actually a boon for all those women, for all those larger corporates that thought that women can't work because half day they want to sit at home. If the child is going to school and the woman says, I want to come half day and then the rest of it I'll manage from home, it is possible. Why is it not possible? Are we not all working from home these days? Right? So it's just about being sensitive. It's about recognizing the talent that these guys are missing. The corporates are missing this talent. Women honestly are very diligent workers, and more so because they know that their time is precious and their time is limited. They work twice as fast.
Absolutely.
And twice as committed, okay, because they really want to do it. They're fighting and struggling in that system only because they want to do it. Okay, now if you want to leave a worker like that,
absolutely. I think no one can multitask. No one can multitask like a woman can.
Exactly. So it's their loss, and they really need to get back at it and get this force back into the mainstream. I would really like to thank the Professional Times and ATM Media Council for running this initiative, because I think it's really important. Women have so many stories that they've got to give, and it's good to get these stories out to the people. Thank you guys. Great job done.
It has been absolutely phenomenal talking to you. So inspiring and so encouraging as a woman, as a mother, on so many levels. Thank you so much for coming here and joining us. And you are truly an example of women empowerment and what women leadership can do and how it can make lives of those around easier and, get women back into the groove and give them what they're truly worth. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was an honor having you.
So much. It was such a pleasure talking to you.